Hey there friends, Gigglebot here. Normally around this time of the week I would be telling you my latest updates on the Sarcraftic server, however, we're still working on the spawn project so it's pretty slow going right now. However, I still wanted to get you guys some content, so I am out here in a single player creative world and I thought that I would give you guys a few tips on how to build better. Now, I'm no Feb Garcia 11, but I do like to fancy myself a pretty good builder. Now, usually building takes practice and time and creativity, but I say screw that noise. If you want to be a good builder, you can be a good builder right now, and here's a few tips on how you can do that. Tip number 1, framing. Here I have a nice little square, and it's a pretty good square. However, it doesn't make a very interesting shape for a house. So one thing you can do is take out a few blocks and just kind of change up the shape a little bit. You know, I know Minecraft is based entirely on squares and the entire system would be ruined if it weren't for squares, but you know, sometimes you gotta do something other than squares, man. Tip number 2, the roof. So here's the walls all built up with a simple frame, and here it is 2 more times. So this is a roof that I see all the time on SMP servers in general, and there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's functional, it's kind of nice to look at, it's pretty cool. But I feel like we can upgrade this just a little bit, and by a little bit I mean a lot. And the way we can do that is by using stairs instead of slabs, first of all, which is not uncommon, but adding a little bit of an overhang afterward of a different texture usually creates a lot of intrigue. Now, if you just wanted to build up stairs like this all the way up to the top till kingdom come, be my guest. You're more than welcome to, and it looks pretty nice when you do that. However, one thing that I like to do is alternate. So I have this stair sticking out here, and then I have a block, and then I have another stair. It creates more height to the roof and just gives it a lot more depth as well. So from there, you know, you can vary having one block in between and then just going straight to just stairs going up. That's kind of how you make your barn style roof, where it starts real steep and then just kind of rounds off at the top. And then when you get to the top here, you can just add a stair right there, add another one right here, and then another one right here, and you have yourself a nice little overhang. Now, once you've got your overhang, your little texture flavor in place, one thing that I like to do for the middle of the roof to fill it all in is not use stairs at all, but just full blocks for the whole rest of it. It's really interesting, and in fact I can actually just delete this and just use blocks right here so that this overhang or this texture part here is a little bit higher than the rest of it. It really helps with adding depth and just overall just nice lookingness, that's a word, to your base. And boom, just like that, we have a roof that looks 10 times better already than the original one. Tip number 3, texturing. Okay, so here we are with the exact same house with the exact same roof right side by side with each other. And the reason I built this house a second time is because I wanted to show you arguably one of the most important parts of any kind of Minecraft build, and that is texturing. Now, texturing isn't the same thing as detailing. It's very similar, but it's not the same thing. Texturing is changing out blocks in the base of your house so that it provides more visual intrigue. Detailing is adding extra bits and bobs on the outside or on the inside of the house in order to make it a more complete build. And I may get to that later, but right now I want to show you guys texturing. Now, texturing a build is different for really every palette that you use. And what I want to do here is just try a few light colored blocks here and also some not so light colored blocks. My rule of thumb when it comes to texturing is using 2 or 3 blocks that are of similar color to your base block and then a complementary color. So something that's not the same color or shade, but something that would still go well with it. A good example of this are these houses that I'm building here on the Sarcraftic server, where the main block is bricks, but I also have some granite in here, and like polished and regular granite, just as kind of, you know, your texture variation. And then I also have some stripped spruce kind of interspersed along in here as well to kind of give some real pattern variation in there. So for this build, I'm gonna just go through and replace a few things, a few blocks. Just there's no real pattern to it, not at all. You just kind of go through and just replace blocks as you feel necessary. Now, one thing that's very, very easy to do when you're doing this kind of thing is overdo it, and you don't want to overdo it. Remember that you have multiple blocks that you're using, so like 4 or 5 block changes per wall, like of this size, is perfectly enough. And then I only have, I have 5 here, but you know what I'm saying. Just like maybe like on this wall I would have 2, and this counts as 1, and I do another one here. You know, you want to make it use it sparingly, essentially, because you don't want it to just look like a big mess of a wall. So I've gone through with my birch, and now I'm just going to use sand every now and then. One thing that is very easy to forget is that all of these blocks can be used for anything. You know, it's not necessarily the material that matters, but the color and the texture at the end of the day. And I know sand can be a little finicky because of its gravity mechanics and all that, but you know, if you know what you're doing, especially like if you put it like in a wall like this, you're not really gonna run into a lot of problems as far as gravity goes. So it's a good block to use, just especially to break up the smooth sandstone texture. Just using a little bit of sand here and there to give it a nice little rough edge. And already this is looking a little bit better. Now I've just gone around with some oak planks as well, and you know, I'm not too sure how I feel about it. You know, maybe if I wanted it to look like a kind of a rundown shack, kind of having been left to the elements for a while and it's kind of been boarded up every few places or so, you know, that's okay, I guess. But that's the beauty of Minecraft and just creativity in general, is, you know, it's trial and error. You know, you can play around with things, and if you don't like it, you can just switch it out, you know. But better to have tried and failed than to have never tried at all and not found something that you would have otherwise enjoyed. But anyways, one last thing that is super cool about texturing is that it doesn't have to be random like this. You can have very structured texturing. For example, with barrels, I know a lot of people, myself included, like to go around. Whoa, there's one thing you may run into with sand. Like to go around and have the bottom of their house. What's going on here? Anyways, the bottom of their house would be barrels, just 100% barrels. And I think that makes for a really great base texture. Not only that, but it's, you know, it's integrated storage. So win-win as far as that goes. Now, one thing that I've been known to do, and probably several other builders as well, is to use this texture with every floor level that you plan on using. So you've got 2 kind of like bands going across, and it doesn't have to be the exact same. You know, you can use like maybe some spruce slabs every other one, or stripped logs. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks really nice, having a similar theme to the bottom trim, but breaking it up to keep it fresh. Now, these same principles also apply to the roof, and you can go crazy on the roof too. You can add stairs instead of blocks every once in a while. Whoop. To kind of break up that monotony there. You can add slabs on top of places that already have blocks. You can even change up the palette in certain places. Once again, like I did on the roofs of the houses in Starcraftic, is just go through and, you know, replace certain blocks with a different kind of block, like this with the cobblestone that I'm doing here, and you've got yourself a really captivating and intriguing roof. And there's no structure to this. You just go through, you find a place you want to maybe change things up, and you do so. You know, like maybe right here, I'll add some stripped log, or I don't know. I think I'll keep the stairs where as they are, but on the blocks here, especially, I can add stripped log. There we go. And it's a good way to break up the texture and just make your roof super interesting. And I like to go through passes like I did down here with the individual blocks. So I go through first with maybe the stairs, right? And I'll just like find a few places that I just want to put the stairs and nothing else, just like that. And you can put stairs down here too to make it look like, you know, it's kind of beaten up a little bit. And then once I've got like all my spruce stairs in, then I'll switch to the spruce log, right? And I'll do this. And once again, just like with the base of the house, you don't want to overdo it. Just a few blocks is perfectly fine. Otherwise, it'll just look like a big old jumbled up mess. And that's the texturing all done. It looks pretty nice. Now another thing I did is change the roof up a little bit, just so it's more consistent on both sides. I wasn't really a big fan of just kind of this stark curve here. So all I did was I kind of flew up to the top here. I looked at where the straightaway is here, and I just kind of cut everything else off before it, like that. Changed the way this was facing by getting me a block, putting this here, change it this way, and then I built up the roof just like I did on the other two sides, and I think that looks a lot nicer. But anyways, back to the texturing. This is how it looks, and I feel like, I could still do some more, like for example put some more cobblestone here, just kind of spread that texture out a little bit more. And yeah, I think it looks just significantly better. Like if you look between the two houses here, I think it's pretty easy to say that the second house just looks better. At least it does in my opinion. Now I understand that this particular building style isn't for everyone. This is very sporadic. It's very, random. And I get that. You don't have to do random, but as long as you have texture variation and, you're able to add depth and intrigue to your build, that's really all I'm trying to teach here. Tip number 4, landscaping. So here we can see how far we've come so far. We have the basic box that we started with. We have the shape change with the basic roof. We have the more advanced roof, and then we have the texture change. But that's not all. Up next is landscape integration. So I've made just a very simple, I've dug out some of a river here and filled it with water, put some cobblestone and slabs down at the bottom there, and I put some buttons along the side of the river for like stones. They can be like pebbles. And then I've made just a very, very simple little bridge out of spruce slabs, trapdoors, and logs. But what we can do is come over here on this little hill that I made and put some saplings here and really anywhere around the house. You don't want to put too many because obviously you don't want to cover up your beautiful home that you've built. But having a landscape around your house just really finishes it off, honestly. It builds a world around your build, and honestly, other than the windows here, you can see I haven't really changed much about the house itself, but it just looks so much better with the landscaping around it. And honestly, I think this is one of the most overlooked yet most important steps that you can do. And trees aren't the only thing. Bone meal is just the magic formula, honestly. It makes your builds just so much better. You go around, you bone meal everything up for a little while, and it ends up just looking phenomenal. I personally am not a big fan of the grass that's 2 blocks tall, but you can go around and change that later if you want to. But look at that, just going around and spamming bone meal. It looks part of a world here. It really looks like a nice little cottage or something, like out in the untouched prairies and fields and stuff like that. And then you can even come over here with some sugar cane along the river here, make it really, really nice and integrated, and even have some bamboo along the outside of the house as well. So if we just come over here with the bamboo, boom, yeah, stuff like that. Isn't that nice? This is honestly really simple stuff, a bunch of small simple things that you can do to put together to create just a beautiful little home. Yeah. So there we have it, friends, the final product of today's lesson. I decided to throw some shaders on just for the full effect there. But the final tip, and most definitely the most important one, is that you enjoy what you build and that you take pride in what you build. Because if you don't, then, well, there's not much point in playing Minecraft anyways. But anyways, my friends, I really hope you learned something from this video. If you did, let me know what you learned. And also, I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, then please kindly thank that like button down below, because it really works hard at its job. And if you really, really enjoyed it, then consider subscribing to my channel. All of those things really, really help me grow as a YouTuber, and they really make my circuit boards feel warm and fuzzy on the inside. But until then, my friends, I'll see you next time.